So I'm sure you've heard of repurposing content and how you can turn one piece of content into 10 across many different platforms. But how does that actually work in practice? In today's video, we're going to take a video just like this one, and I'm going to show you practically how I actually turn those into podcast episodes, blog posts, and social media posts that can be used on multiple platforms. So stay tuned. Welcome back to Emma Gibbons Content and Copy. I'm Emma, and I am the founder of the branded copywriting and content marketing boutique, Emma Gibbons Content and Copy, based here in Toronto. We primarily serve high-end service-based and product-based businesses. So if you fall into one of those categories, then for sure you're in the right place. But today we're going to be talking about repurposing content, which really does work for any business type. And in fact, the more early stage you are, and as well, the more budget friendly, let's say, your business has to be, the even more important it becomes to repurpose content. And in general, if you are very advanced, if you are already successful, if you sell luxury services or products, then the purpose of repurposing, whether it's you or a team member, or maybe you outsource to a content marketing agency like us, is to save you time and energy. So you only have to be the expert once, and then you can hand it off, and everything gets repurposed across the board. So it can all promote either that original piece of content or just have you show up as the expert in your area on Instagram, TikTok, on your SEO friendly blog, on a podcast, video, and so much more. So I'm actually going to get straight to it. We are not just going to be talking about the purpose of repurposing and, theory of how to do it. In today's video, we're actually going to be doing it. So you're going to follow me on the screen as I take a video and turn it into, partly me and partly some team members, turn it into a podcast episode, blog posts, SEO friendly blog posts, social media, and more. So why don't you follow me over to the computer? Let's go. Welcome to my computer. All right. So we are in a folder on the back end of we always work in Google Workspace. So basically what I do is I record in the small section of my house that I have set up with the lights and everything. And I upload the video files right here. So what I do with video is I actually usually outline things. So if I go to the April scripts video, this is how I find things. I'll pull this up. So this is actually where I start. And so I usually give myself a list of the topics. Sometimes I'll try and have the titles beforehand and the dates that I'm expecting them to go out, although we constantly end up changing them. And what I'll do is I will outline them for myself. So that way I'm not just talking off the top of my head. Sometimes they're more detailed than others. Like if I know, for example, I know the 5 levels of customer awareness super well, so it's really easy for me to talk about. But if it's something where I've done a little bit more research or I want to use stats like you see here, I will make sure to put them here. And I'll even tell you guys that I'm going to look at the computer to make sure that I have my stats right. So I'll just have the computer with me when I film. And then what I do is once the video has finished recording, I will upload it to this folder where we started. So Berta is my podcast editor. If you're curious, Pepito is my dog, but Berta is my podcast editor. So what we do is I upload the raw files, so the original unedited files, just like you see with these two here. And Berta goes and actually edits them. I believe she still uses Camtasia. I know some people use Final Cut. I would not get YouTube videos done if I didn't have Berta to edit them for me. I'm fine. Well, yeah, I'll record them. And I'll plan for them and I will promote them, but editing just takes so long. So thankfully I have Berta for that. But even if you didn't, I would definitely recommend that you hold them in a library. And then we actually have this file as well. So that way, if we ever want to go find something, we can always go back and do that. And that's even more important as we get into, year 2 of YouTube or beyond. And if you were filming and putting out more than 2 videos a week, I think it's even more important. So we keep track of them by number, we keep track of the video link and whether they're released or not, if certain tasks have been done or not. Berta usually keeps track of these things. So if we've written up the show notes or the description box, 2 different ways of saying it, if we've created a snippet, which we'll get to in a second, highly recommend that you create something. It's a very simple spreadsheet, but I highly recommend that you have something just like it ready to go. Okay, so let's say that it has gone out on YouTube.
So let's use this topic, for example. So I outlined this topic, how to create a welcome email sequence in 5 steps, gone into this room and recorded it, uploaded the raw file here for Bertha to edit. She ends up putting them here into a finished file folder. That doesn't look quite right, but finished videos, sorry. Under finished videos, she puts them right here. So I can always go back and find them. This is where the original one is linked as well, so that we can go back and find them easily in case we want to repurpose something, which we do. So it's out in the world. It's on YouTube. What can I do at the same time? So even before it gets published, what I do is I go and create a transcript using Otter AI. I don't know if it'll let me log in with this browser. Let's see if it'll take us there. I'm going to show you kind of the inside of Otter. It's a transcription service. It's totally free up to a certain amount of minutes, I believe, is how it works. But if you have tons and tons of videos that you do, then it's probably worth the small investment that it is to have a paid plan for endless minutes, if I remember correctly. So basically, you upload the video file. So she's created this finished video file for me. What I can do is then download the finished one and then add it here, and it will transcribe it for me. So how to create a welcome email sequence in 5 steps ends up looking like this. So it not only does the transcription for me, but it actually also puts in a summary of keywords, the most important keywords. And this can help me to make sure that I'm picking an SEO key phrase. If you want to make sure that your blog post, which is what we're going to turn this transcription into, is SEO friendly, that it is going to be super easy to embed. So, content marketing, but that's a very broad key phrase for blogs versus YouTube. So what we end up doing is, like, I might tidy this up a bit. So usually I'm the one who does this. Like, I'll create some subheadings to make it easy. And what I could do is I could go in and just tidy this up and turn it into a blog post. But because I have a team and I'm super busy with client projects, our junior copywriter actually goes in and she turns it into a finalized blog post, which she then goes into the back end and posts here on the blog. So it depends. If she's writing a lot that's new, she'll get the bio. If it's all my content, then what I'll do is I will reference her right here at the top, and I'll have the author section, and she'll format it. She'll embed that YouTube video as well. So it's even further repurposing any blog posts that have multimedia files. So an embedded podcast, audio file, YouTube video, pictures, they always do better. And she'll also SEO optimize. So if you want to know more about optimizing a blog post for SEO, check the link in the description. We're going to have one of our videos there for you on that topic, because that's going to be on the scope of today's episode. But here it is. Here it is up on the blog. And she didn't have to do that much, right? Like, she just took the transcript, tidied it up. And once in a while, if I'm promoting something, for example, we'll cut that from the blog post version, but there's not too much change that needs to happen there. And she can just set it up to post. So we've already got a blog post out of it. But what else is Bertha doing simultaneously? So if it was just me, I can do this too. But what Bertha does while I create the transcript and have Sarah work on the blog is Bertha takes the original video file, right? So we have those finished video files, and she does 2 things with it. So let's stick with the video content for now. So what she'll do is she'll go into this Type Studio platform, and I'm not sure if I can find exactly that episode. Let's just pick a random episode. Let's pick April. And she'll pick a really good snippet, so something that kind of represents the episode, and she'll just grab that chunk of the video and pop it into Type Studio. And what Type Studio does is it will match the video with the transcription or the subtitles. And so you may have to adjust the subtitles a little bit. It's once in a while, it's not super accurate, but honestly, overall, I would say it's really, really good. It's very easy to edit. So all she had to do was create a template once where, she put this pattern in the background, she put the box where the title will go, and she has the format set so that the subtitles always appear on this kind of beige box. But other than that, once she's done that once, she's just uploading the videos and using that template over and over and over again. Really, really great tool. And then I post that on social media. So it's a post. And sometimes I just use the YouTube description, which we wrote when we posted the video, as the caption with a tweak at the beginning and the end to grab attention and then ask a question or tell people to go watch the video as the call to action at the end. So that's really, really great. Once a week, that's what I post. So every Thursday, that's what I post across the board on social media. So one weekly social media post is done. And it's also part of that ecosystem of promoting. You can promote the blog post, it can promote the YouTube video itself on YouTube, so many different things. The other thing that Berta does is that she'll take the finished video file and she'll clean it up a bit more so the audio is really, really crisp, which is why we've had to invest in a couple different microphones as we tested that along the way. And she sets them up we use Captivate. I know with some of her other clients, she uses Libsyn, like Lib, like library, Syn. We really like Captivate. And she has it set up as the podcast version. So you'll see we're really early into the podcast lifespan. We're growing it slowly but surely. And I don't have to do anything because, again, Berta is the expert there. And if you're curious to learn more about podcasting for business purposes and how you measure the return on investment there, we actually have a video coming out towards the end of this month, towards the end of May as I'm filming this. So make sure that you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you do not miss that video. It's really good. It's a very different approach to podcasting where you can actually connect it to your marketing goals and see where the value is coming from. How do you measure that value? Really powerful. So anyhow, we have it up as a podcast. And what Berta then does, and I don't have access to that, is she turns it into an audiogram. So what I could do is show you what they look like though. And if we go to my profile, I'll show you one of the recent audiograms where I was promoting the episode. So I, again, don't do this. Berta does it. But she picks a nice audio snippet. We have this templated cover image where we just changed the title, basically, of the new episode to promote it. And then there's this audiogram. So you can hear it. And you have the subtitles there. And you also have this kind of waveform. It's really handy because this is my Monday social post all across the board. So I already have Monday and Thursday social media posts done. They're all part of the same ecosystem because the podcast version of that YouTube video goes out the following Monday. So YouTube always comes out on Thursdays, and then the podcast version goes out on Mondays, unless it's something like what we're doing right now, where there's a tutorial and you need to see my screen. Then it doesn't make sense to create a podcast version, but usually it does. So usually we'll have a different snippet. That's the audiogram versus the Thursday video snippet that we saw earlier from Type Studio. So that way, while it's still promoting the same content and really reinforcing that I am an expert in this area in my audience's minds, it's still a little bit different. So they're going to get an alternate perspective or something else that's going to intrigue them. So this snippet would be very different from the snippet that they would hear in the audiogram version. Okay, so now we've turned it. So we have a video version, we have a podcast version, we have a blog post version. And we also have hinted at how you can use these existing videos and podcasts for social media posts. So then the last piece of social media posts is we start with the blog. So we take that blog post, or I'll get Sarah to do it, my junior copywriter, and we'll grab chunks of it. So it's not even just like, go check out this blog post and something written from scratch. Usually what we'll do is we'll take a little chunk of it and we'll just make sure that first sentence that you see before you continue reading on Instagram, for example, though we do this for Facebook, LinkedIn, et cetera, as well. And then the last sentence is a call to action. So the call to action is something like to comment below, to share, or to go read the blog post, or typically those calls to action. We need to get them to do something. But other than that, we're using a chunk of the blog post. So how we keep track of that is we have this spreadsheet. And so, for example, we don't have them yet for this one that I was giving as an example, the welcome sequence, which we've been using this whole time. But here we have one for the 7 copywriting exercises. So these are all listed in the blog post. We grab them, copied and paste them, and then add a call to action. I'd love to hear your discoveries in the comments, or let me know down in the comments about the waitlist page. And we do multiples because blog posts are long, or most of our blog posts are, because they're coming from videos too. They're around 1,000 words, sometimes even over that, which right now is good for SEO as well, but that's kind of a side point. And so like, look at this one, the Clickworthy Headlines Bible. We were able to find huge chunks to just copy and paste in. One of the other things Sarah might do is, like you see here, she'll add emojis to make them a little bit easier to skim on Instagram, especially. But really, like, it's just a chunk of the blog post. So let's do one together for the welcome email sequence one. So I'm going to go off of this version. So what you could do, for example, is you could grab their attention with a sentence and then give them the first tip and tell them to continue reading for the rest. So let's go into the captions doc. I'm going to paste without formatting. Paste as plain text. Okay, I have no idea why it's underlined. Ignore that for now. So what we could do is say something like, maybe, how many steps did I give at this point? So I said for a welcome email sequence, this is probably a 5 email sequence that I've listed out here. Yep. Okay. So numbers grab attention. So I could say your 5-step welcome email series. And by using the word your, which we talk about a lot on this channel, you're also telling your audience that you're thinking of them. It automatically makes it more personal, right? So it's not me saying, I've got your 5-step welcome email series. Even that is different. Starting with the word I, than just directly starting with the word your. So your 5-step welcome email series. And then after that, we've just already gotten that first one in there without any changes. Just this underlining thing is just driving me nuts. Haha, there it's off. Okay. So we've got the attention. We could probably remove this optional piece too about, it's kind of a detail to avoid sending emails to their spam. So I'm adjusting it a bit. And now I'm going to add in that call to action. That's it. So like email number 1, see all 5 emails in the series by reading the blog post. Link in bio. That's it. That's one example. And that's a pretty sizable chunk. The other thing I might do is I might break it up a bit more, right? I also recommend giving them some instructions on how to not miss these emails. You can tell them that over the next week, they're going to get fantastic tips. So if I just wanted to break it up to make it even easier to read, that's a place I would do it. It's not like when you're in school and you have a 5-paragraph essay and a paragraph is a giant chunk. You can break it up really, really frequently when you're talking about social media, because it's just about making sure someone's reading. Everything has to be skimmable. So even this is still quite bulky, and I could even go through and break it up more. But that's one example. You could add emojis, etc. So we've created a video, a podcast episode version of the video. So I didn't do anything else. It was all Barrett's on my editor. And even if it was me, the only thing I'd have to do at that point is maybe tidy up the audio a bit more if I didn't have a great mic. And I might need to, for example, if I once in a while forget, I will make a different ending for the video and the podcast version. So for example, with the video version for YouTube, I'll usually say, like and subscribe. That's not really relevant. That's not the exact instruction for the podcast. So I might make 2 different versions of the ending. And that's it, right? Like you're just tidying it up, maybe swapping the ending, and then you're just posting it as a podcast episode. So from the podcast and the video, you've got social posts. From the video transcript, you've got an easy to write blog post that you can also turn into social posts like we just did. So you've got a whole ecosystem here, and you can repurpose these, right? Like we've created libraries here of these captions. We've created that library that I was showing you before to easily find the original video files or where they've been posted on the internet, on YouTube. We have something similar to keep track of the podcast. So you can repurpose these time and time again, because a lot of this is evergreen, right? Like some of it's going to change with the times, but a lot of what you're putting out there is going to be evergreen versus trends. I would say like if we post 4 videos a month, then 3 out of the 4 are evergreen, or they should last for years, and only 1 of them might be very trends focused. So if you do that, then you've also got those social media posts to promote that you can just recycle, every couple of months, promote an old video or an old blog post that's still relevant. And meanwhile, on your podcast and on YouTube, which is a search engine, those are living and breathing, and different trends will get a wave of people in. As you get more popular in general, people will go and find your older videos. It's just going to keep it appreciates over time, just like your blog appreciates over time because of the SEO. The longer that it's there, if it's done right, the better it will perform and it will help your website. So repurposing is going to save you so much time in the long run, especially if you have a team. Then you can repurpose across the board. But even if you just start with video and podcasts, for example, or video and social media, right? Just start with maybe one repurposing platform and you can grow from there. But you're going to see it saves you so much time in the long run, and you have just a plethora of content. We have so much content that I'm trying to keep up with posting it all the time. So yet another team member is probably going to come on. But that's it for the video portion or the screen share portion of today's episode. So let me know what questions you have, because I took you through a lot in a very organic way. If you want any clarification at all about, the platforms that we use or the steps that I've shown you here today, any tips or tricks, let me know those questions in the comments below and I will be happy to get back to you. Okay, let's go back over to our main video.
So I'd love to know, what is your hero content type? Are you like me and you start with video, or do you actually start with a podcast or social media or your blog? Because you can absolutely repurpose in any direction. I just showed you today my preferred direction, one that I think does tend to be easier because it's harder to turn social media into video, but there's lots of ways to do it, and it doesn't necessarily need to be you talking about it. You can do it in Canva, and we might actually go into that in a future video. But for now, let me show you this playlist where you'll be able to learn all about repurposing from whatever your starting point is into all the other formats. There's going to be tips that you can already use in combination with what you learned today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the notification bell. Oh, and subscribe first, then hit the notification bell so that you will never miss a video. We put out new videos every single Thursday. And also, if you haven't checked it out, we do have a podcast version. Sometimes when it's a video tutorial like this one, we don't necessarily have the podcast version available, so it's good that you're subscribed here. But if you'd like to take most of our episodes with you on the go to learn about the theory behind copywriting, tips and tricks that you can easily implement, then be sure to check out the link in the description box so that you can check out the podcast too. New episodes drop every single Monday. Thank you so much for joining me. If you are willing to stay around, we're going to have some video suggestions up on the screen for you right now. But if not, I will see you next Thursday. Take care. Bye.